Welcome everyone to LuchaWorld Podcast episode number 69. I'm your host, Fredo Esparza, and today we have a special co-host. Replacing Kurt for this week is my niece, Rhianna.
Hi.
Say hi to everybody.
Hello. Hello.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Before you can continue being the co-host, I need to see if you qualify to be the co-host. So I'm going to ask you some questions. Give me your honest answer.
Okay.
Your most honest answer possible.
Right.
So this week, did you watch Lucha Underground?
No.
Did you watch Total Nonstop Deletion?
No.
Did you watch Raw or SmackDown?
No.
Did you watch DTU NUEV9?
No.
Did you watch anything wrestling or Lucha Libre related?
No.
Perfect. You qualified to replace Kurt this week.
Yay!
Hey, he doesn't watch wrestling. We already know that. People listening to the show know he doesn't watch as much wrestling. So, okay, so...
You watch it 24/7.
I don't watch it 24/7. I only watch it like Wednesday, Monday, Friday.
Basically 24/7.
Basically almost every day. Not really, not all. Thursday's my off day. Don't judge me.
Okay, I'll judge you.
Who's calling you? Don't interrupt us. Okay, so do you want to start with DTU NUEV9 or do you want to start with the big news from this past week?
I don't know.
Just an update on what happened with I guess I'll tell you what happened with Ninja Turtle Rafy. Something happened with Ninja Turtle Rafy and Alberto El Patron.
What happened?
Do you want to hear it?
Sure.
Yes?
Yeah.
So Alberto El Patron, I talked about it in the last podcast, but we have more news now. Alberto El Patron and his girlfriend Paige, you know Paige's?
No.
From WWE?
No.
You don't watch WWE at all?
No, I used to play the game.
Yeah. Who is your favorite wrestler in the game?
Coffee Kings.
What about the girls?
I don't know. I remember.
You don't remember them?
I don't
The
remember.
Bella twins?
Probably.
Yeah, you don't remember them? You don't care?
No.
Yeah, you don't like women's wrestling, right? Be honest.
I don't care. I don't really watch wrestling.
Perfect. Oh, well, Alberto and his girlfriend Paige went to a lucha show in Arena Naucalpan. It's in Mexico City. Mexico?
Yeah, I know.
It's in Naucalpan.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I know.
Okay.
Right? I know.
Okay. And his brother was wrestling on the show.
All right.
And they went backstage. And Rafy told the story. Ninja Turtle Rafy, so you don't forget. He's a Ninja Turtle, yes.
Okay.
It's a grown man wearing a Ninja Turtle outfit.
Yes, 10 out of 10.
Uh-huh. So he was climbing down from the office. I guess he was talking to whoever was in charge. And I think your cat's gonna climb on the chimney. And dude, your cat's gonna scare me. So as he's climbing down, he accidentally bumps into Paige, and he tells Paige, "Pásale, hermosa." He tells, "Pass by, beautiful." And Alberto only heard him say "beautiful," so he decided to. He got mad about it, so he went after Rafy, pulled his mask off. So Rafy went running back to the locker room to cover his face because it's in the hallway, so some people could see them. So he ran to the locker room. Alberto chased them, and they got into a fist fight until finally everybody pulled them apart and everything. And so Paige, Alberto's girlfriend, told him that he wasn't being disrespectful, that he just told her to pass by. And that's the story. They all apologized, and they've all moved on. Except it made it onto the internet.
Oh, that's great.
And you know what happened?
Everything makes it onto the internet.
Yes, and what happened?
What?
Social media blew it up.
Of course.
One of Rafy's friends said that Alberto nearly killed him and destroyed his face. So Rafy was on another podcast and said that wasn't true. His face wasn't destroyed. He wasn't nearly killed. They did get into a fight. Alberto did get the better end of it, but it wasn't as bad as as everybody was making it sound. They all apologized for the misunderstanding, and they've all moved on. Only Alberto has a Twitter account and claimed that someone was being disrespectful to Paige when it wasn't even true. So in the end, nothing really, no big deal.
Nothing happened.
And we all moved on. And we can all talk about Lucha Libre now.
Yay.
Your favorite. Who's your favorite luchador?
I don't know.
Say Blue Panther. Say Blue Panther.
Why?
Say Negro Casas.
Blue Panther.
And Negro Casas.
No, just Blue Panther.
And Negro Casas.
Fine.
Say it.
And Negro Casas.
Louder.
No.
Say it louder. They're your favorite.
Negro Casas.
Okay. They're your two favorite wrestlers.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fred.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, also on that podcast, we got word that they interviewed Mascaraño 2000, and he was talking about his brother Universo 2000. Several weeks ago, suffered a heart attack in Nuevo Laredo, and he's doing better now.
That's good.
But he was feeling sick still at that time. Oh, and what was I saying? I was talking about Universo 2000. And dude, why is everybody interrupting us?
I don't know. I mean, like they always talk anyway.
Yeah.
so-
Okay. So Universo 2000 suffered a heart attack. He got out of the hospital. Several weeks later, he was feeling sick again. Went to the hospital again.
Oh my.
He didn't have a stroke, but they thought he might have started. He was beginning to feel the effects of that. And his brother Mascaraño 2000 said that he thinks the reason that he's been feeling sick is that he's gained a lot of weight and he's not doing as much exercise. So
That's what's causing it.
yeah, that's what they think is causing it. So they're hoping that maybe he could, like, if he gets cleared by the doctors, he could start doing a little more exercise and all of that. Super Porky, another guy who's going through his own health
gosh.
issues.
Everyone is.
He had gastric bypass surgery a couple of weeks ago, and I guess that's why he was losing weight. He had, in order to get that, he had to lose a little weight, and now he has to lose a little more weight so he could have hip surgery, and so they're expecting him to have that soon.
So
and
he's-
more. What was
So
it?
he has to lose a lot of weight to get
Yeah,
surgery.
you've never seen Super Porky. He's really chubby. He's a short, chubby
yeah.
guy. That's why they call him Super Porky. More health issues.
Oh my.
Conan mentioned he's going to have hip surgery sometime.
Everyone's having
in
hip
January.
surgery.
Yes, except us. We're not having hip surgery.
Of course.
Okay, now we got to talk about the pay-per-view from last night on Thursday. DTU NUEV9. Did you just burp on the podcast? That might be the grossest thing we've had on the podcast. Did you watch DTU NUEV9?
No,
Why not, man? It was good.
because I was busy.
It was like only 6 hours long. You didn't have 6 hours to spend watching it?
No.
Actually, I watched the pay-per-view, and then I watched that pre-show earlier today. The pre-show is on YouTube, free for everyone. It's really good. The opening match was the DTU kids. It was a DTU kids match. I think these kids looked like they were between 9 and 13 years old. And they were wrestling. Think about that. Okay, so getting back to the DTU show, the Cheeky Nerds were the opener. They're kids about your age, Ree. You should have watched it. Danubio Jr. Danubio Jr. is a chemist.
Ooh.
That's his character. Erwin is a nerd.
That's cool.
He's a cheeky nerd. And Luigi was this kid wearing a like a dress shirt, like something you would wear at a like
wedding.
Yeah, it was a nice shirt too, nice pants too. They beat Arcángel Negro, Erwin, and Macicito. Erwin is the other cheeky nerd. They switched them. They had them like it was a mix. Like instead of them teaming, they were facing off. A good match. Luigi was really impressive. He did a lot of high flying stuff. Erwin and Irving faced off. The two cheeky nerds. They did a couple of spots where they like poked each other's eyes because they're nerds, so they fought like nerds. But it was really good. It was a good match. The second match was Flair Boy beating Pardux, Toto, Dragonfly, X-Boy, and Fly Danger in I think it was 6-way match. That was good also. Toto is Ovet's son. You know who Ovet is?
Nope.
He's one of Los Porros.
Oh, he's cool.
They do a lot of lucha extrema. And he was really, that was a really good, fun match. Toto was really impressive. Good match also. After that, we had Dr. Pollux Jr. and El Exotico. from Pachuca. They beat Castigador and Vengador and Camuflaje and Tiburon.
Ooh.
You're impressed with my Spanish, huh?
Yeah, of course. 11
This was another good match. Dr. Pollux Jr. and Exotico, really impressive. Exotico looked, of all the Exoticos, he wasn't as, you know what an Exotico is? They do a lot of flamboyant type of stuff. Like they dance and do all this stuff. He wasn't doing that as much. So he was more serious about it. So really fun match. I highly recommend watching the pre-show. If you don't want to watch the entire iPay-per-view was only $6. You know, really, $6 was worth it. Because if you don't want to watch that was really good. The iPay-per-view I watched last night, really good. The opener was a DTU first gen versus DTU current generation match. And the first gen team won. Crazy Boy was the surprise luchador. How excited were you that? Crazy Boy being in this match.
10 out of 10 excited.
10? Wow. I mean, you're a big Crazy Boy fan, huh?
Not
Really?
but okay.
Not really?
No.
I thought you were. Before this podcast, you were telling me, are we going to talk about Crazy Boy?
No, it wasn't.
Yes, you were. Constantly, you're like, are we going to talk about Crazy Boy? He's one of my favorite wrestlers.
No, I didn't.
And I was like, really? Yeah, he was a surprise luchador. He teamed up with Arrow Boy, Angel El Demonio, Drastic Boy, and Pesadilla to beat Corsario Negro Jr., Loquillo, Moria, Niño de Cobre, and Tony Iron. Niño de Cobre was really good. He's a little guy, but him and Arrow Boy were really good in the match. Entire match was good. Definitely watch that. The second match in the iPay-per-view was Blackfire beating Hormiga to retain the DTU Alto Impacto Championship. This match was not good. It was bad.
How is it bad?
Boring. It was actually very boring. Then they had this really... They did this... really, not even the finish. It was just a really boring match. The crowd... They lost the crowd, and the crowd started yelling Otra Lucha because they didn't want to watch it anymore.
Wow.
So it was just a bad match, you know. Something... You could definitely skip that. Hormiga got stretchered out. He got hurt at the end in the finish. He got stretchered out on a chair. They didn't even have a stretcher, so they brought out a chair to carry him out. But he was tiny. He's not that big, so the chair was fine. The third match on the iPay-per-view was Dragon Rojo Jr. and Pólvora, better known as a team as Los Revolucionarios. They beat Los Malcriados,
Wow.
El Junior, and Gio. This was a good match. It was actually a chair match. So they all brought out chairs and they started hitting each other and like throwing chairs at each other, hitting each other with chairs, just doing all this great stuff with chairs. I mean, at one point it looked like Dragon Rojo Jr. hurt his knee, but he was fine. Gio was really good in this match. This was a good match. It was a good match. It ended with what does it say right here? Dragon Rojo did a double stomp onto Gio, who had chairs all over him. Really good match. Gio looked very impressive. Highly recommended. After that, we had the DTU Consagrado match, which was supposed to have Charlie Rockstar in it, but he wasn't there. So it was just Ovette versus Halloween, and Ovette beat Halloween. Halloween, when he ran in, he hit Ovette with a light tube over the head. So there were a lot of light tubes used in this match. Are you a fan of light tubes in lucha matches? Do you know what kind of light tubes they use?
Nope.
Those long ones that they put in like in your schools and stuff like that, in hospitals.
Oh, those
yeah, the fluorescent light bulbs. Yeah, light tubes. Those are the ones they hit each other, and they were just hitting each other all over. It was brutal. There's a lot of blood. Ovette bled immediately. Very bloody match. I highly recommend it for you to watch, Rhi.
All right.
You shouldn't watch that, actually.
Why?
Because you're still too young to watch.
I'm 12.
Yeah, you're too young to watch a death match. So really, you shouldn't. I don't even know why you're even having me talk about Ovette versus Halloween.
I didn't. You talked about
Okay, so we'll have to skip that match. Actually, I already said what it was. It wasn't that good. Halloween gave Ovette a trophy for winning, I guess. I don't know why.
Cool.
Yeah, so the next match was the hair match. Mr. Condor ended up losing to Kevin. It was Kevin and Jimmy, the nerds.
Who won?
Kevin of the nerds. And they beat Mr. Condor and El Gallego, who are Los Diabolicos. This was weird because originally they said it was going to be like only one guy was going to keep his hair and all the other three were going to get their heads shaved. But somehow they switched it on everyone. So only one guy lost his hair. And Kevin actually was the one that won the hair match. So it was really confusing. It was confusing to watch, and the finish was really like
So then Kevin lost his hair?
No, Kevin was the only one that kept... No, supposedly, like, they were supposed to, like... There was supposed to be one winner that kept his hair, but, like, Jimmy won first, so he kept his hair. And then Ovet's partner... what was his... No, not Ovet's partner. Gallego was the second guy to win, so he saved his hair. So it was down to Kevin and Mr. Condor to determine who would lose their hair. See, so that's where it all changed. So it just became a regular hair match. You know, one guy loses his hair and that's it. So then Kevin ends up beating Mr. Condor. But this had a lot of interference. I think somebody got involved, I think, at one point. Oh, Crazy Boy got involved and attacked Mr. Condor. A lot of blood in this match. Highly recommend you not watch this.
I'll probably watch it.
You ordered the pay-per-view?
No.
Well, then how are you going to watch it?
Magic.
You're just going to look through my YouTube history?
Stream up YouTube.
Yes. You're gonna search through YouTube. Yeah, so that match wasn't that great. I was expecting this to be a lot better, but it wasn't that great. The next match was great, as it had Flamita versus Negro Casas versus Ronnie Mendoza.
Whoa, dude.
This was a really good match, about as good as you expected it. Oh, before this, Negro Casas was on the pre-show and he was talking about how he was glad to see fans wanting to see younger wrestlers because that's what fans want to see. They don't want to see the same old stuff over and over again. And I thought, oh yeah, right. What about CMLL? Everything's the same over there, right? Am I right?
Sure.
Yeah. So Ronnie Mendoza ended up winning this match. Negro Casas was the first one eliminated by Flamita. And then Ronnie Mendoza eliminated Flamita. It was really good. Flamita eliminated Negro Casas with his own finisher.
Whoa, dude.
La Casita.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. And then Ronnie eliminated Flamita with a backcracker.
Whoa.
So that was a good match. After the match, Ronnie Mendoza put over both Negro Casas and Flamita, and DTU congratulated DTU for having their ninth anniversary. Yeah, so that was fun. So then it was kind of late. So I ended up watching something else because I think they took like 20 minutes to... The final match was a match they call Lucha de... what was it? Rancho de Texas. Mm-hmm. So it's basically a barbed wire. They replaced the ring. You know how the ring has ropes?
Yeah.
They replaced the ropes with barbed wire.
Oh, that must have hurt.
Yes, it did. And this match was
They
painful.
got stabbed.
Yeah, so it took them less time. I thought it was gonna take them like 45 minutes to switch the ropes to barbed wire, but it only took them like 15-20 minutes. But still, it was like the match. It actually was pretty good. Like the match was really good. Like for that type of match, a lot of blood, a lot of guys getting stuck on the barbed wire. Ciclope and Crazy King ended up beating Paranoico and Toxico.
Did anybody die?
No, nobody died.
Oh.
That was one of the positives of the show. Nobody died. You know, it was a death match, but nobody died.
That would have been funny if someone died.
No, that wouldn't be funny.
Yes, it would.
No, it wouldn't.
Okay, friendship.
It would not be funny.
I would have laughed.
No, you wouldn't. You would have cried.
No, I wouldn't laugh.
You would have cried if you would have watched this. Oh, the finish was Ciclope did he set up a chair, a ladder to climb up because they got rid of the ropes. So to get on the top of normally you climb up the ropes to get to the top turnbuckle. Well, they didn't have that, so he set up a ladder on the outside, this really tall ladder, and he climbed up the ladder, and he jumped with some light tubes onto the guy that was laying on the floor, and he pinned him. It was a splash. He pinned him, but the guy kicked out at 2.
Whoa.
And so he was all mad. He's like, I'm gonna get him again. So he stacked a bunch of light tubes on top of the guy, and then he climbs again up the ladder, and this time he does the splash, and this time he gets the pin.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's pretty good. It was a good show. It was a good show. Yes, it was a good show. I would say I liked 7 out of the 10 matches.
It's pretty
Yes.
good. That's like 4 stars.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, I would say I think the only match I thought could have been up there was the hair match, but I kind of didn't like the finish, and I thought it was confusing.
Confusing.
Yeah, so I kind of lowered that into not making it 8 out of 10 good matches, but 7 out of 10. I mean, the pre-show was great. I recommend you watch the pre-show so you could see kids your age wrestling
All right.
instead of just sitting around and not doing anything. You know?
Sure.
I think I'm going to take you to next time Kurt and I go to Lucha Show. We're going to invite you and we're going to have you climb in the ring.
Go to the Lucha Underground one. You didn't let me.
No, because we have to get tickets. No, actually, it was the press tour, and you weren't going to last. You weren't going to last 3-4 hours. It was hot too those days. We tried the last time. Remember that one time, and we couldn't get tickets
Oh yeah.
because I was like, "Oh, you couldn't," and then you couldn't go in because you were underage. You were 11 back then. You wouldn't have been allowed to get in.
And now I'm cool.
Now you can.
Yay.
But now we can't get in.
know.
We'll take you to like one of the other shows, maybe the all women's show, so you can complain about women's wrestling. Because I know you don't like women's wrestling. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, I do.
You do?
It's dramatic. It's
Okay.
funny.
Okay, I guess you like it.
Because they just like hit themselves in the face a bunch of times. And then they like,
Didn't they cry?
yeah. It's funny when they cry.
You like midget wrestling though.
I like midget and go wrestling.
Yeah. Gorilla wrestling? Did you say gorilla
Gorilla.
wrestling?
Oh, I female wrestling.
Okay.
Because it's dramatic.
So let's talk about, speaking of women in wrestling, Lucha Underground had a couple of women on the show. Did you watch Lucha Underground? No, huh? Of course not. You didn't even bother like watching.
I was watching,
You didn't.
like,
You said you were like, Fred, I want to do the podcast with you, and I'm like, okay, you want to watch some of the wrestling? You're like, yeah,
I said sure.
yeah, sure, and you didn't even you disappeared afterwards.
I know, because I was on the iPad.
Yeah, so Lucha Underground, pretty good episode this week. They had 2 more Battle of the Bulls matches, which is like 4 or 5. I think it was 4 people with the finalists facing off in a final. Like four of these matches. Then from those 4 matches, they get the final 4. The final 4 face off. Then the finalist faces. I think they're going to face Johnny Mundo in the final if Johnny Mundo retains his title. So this week they had Jeremiah Crane versus Killshot versus Dante Fox, and here's a woman, Mariposa.
Ooh.
She's good.
Butterfly.
She's good though. She's really good. So this match was really good. I actually liked this match. They had a lot of kicks in the match, and they had I hope that doesn't make a noise from you like dropping it on the floor.
Couch.
Then they had a lot of kicks, like those really hard kicks towards each other's heads.
Roundhouse kicks.
No, just super kicks, roundhouse kicks, all types of kicks. A variety of kicks.
A million.
Yes, a variety of kicks. And then they brought in a bunch of chairs, and Mariposa at one point grabbed a chair, was grabbing chairs and just tossing them at everybody.
It's me.
So she was just like she would toss one to Killshot's head, then she would toss one at Jeremiah who was laying down, then she would toss one at Dante Fox. She just kept going on and on and on for like 5 minutes.
How many chairs did he have?
Because there was like 8 chairs, so she would just grab one and keep throwing it and pick up another one, throw it another one, and she pick up another one. It was funny. So Jeremiah Crane ended up winning. He pinned Dante Fox. After that match, there was Drago versus Cobra Moon. Drago beat Cobra Moon. This match was okay, but the big news in this match was Pindar interfered.
Wow.
Because Cobra Moon runs. She's the leader of the lizard tribe.
That's weird.
Yeah, and so then they tried to get Drago to join. What was that?
Ashlyn.
Drago, but Drago doesn't want to return because he's upset with them. So then Pindar ran in and attacked Drago. And as Pindar was attacking Drago, Aerostar and Phoenix ran in and helped save their trios champions.
Whoa.
So they saved Aerostar. They saved Drago, I mean. So then what happens? This giant dude named, I guess his name was Vibora. He ran in, he walked in, and he just destroyed everybody. And then Cobra Moon had him carry off Drago with them.
Get wrecked.
Yeah, so this was pretty. That was pretty good. Vibora and I don't want to reveal who they are, but I'm pretty sure on Twitter you can find out because they retweet stuff. Yeah. So they all probably you can pretty much tell who everybody else.
I don't have a Twitter anyway.
You don't have a Twitter?
Ashton won't let me.
Let me tell you who they are.
What?
Don't.
You did.
It's.
It's
Okay.
Great. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Yes.
So then the third match on Lucha Underground was PJ Black, Angelico, Son of Havoc, and Jack Evans.
Whoa.
PJ Black won that. That was pretty good. I think there wasn't as much thing going on in that. It was pretty good. Yeah, so that was Lucha Underground. Good episode.
Very neat.
Yeah, I recommend you watch it.
All right.
Do you have El Rey Network?
Probably. I don't know.
You probably do, but you just don't read it. They have. Hey, you could either watch Lucha Underground, you could maybe watch some kung fu movies, or you could watch Hellraiser.
Ooh.
Do you even know what Hellraiser's about?
Probably.
You probably get scared. Or you could watch Chud. They might air Chud.
I don't even know what that is.
That's scary too. They got a lot of scary movies on that channel. You're like, I'm gonna watch them.
I should probably.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Lucha Underground. I guess we should talk about the upcoming CMLL shows. There's another thing, like you were saying, you wanted to watch more women main event, be on more shows and stuff. Remember you were telling me that earlier? And I was like, and I was telling you, no, you don't even watch. Why should they have our women on wrestling shows? And you're like, cause, what were you saying? Cause you felt women had rights now and needed to be equal.
Sure.
To men. Didn't you say that?
Sure. I don't know. Probably not.
Oh, so you don't really care. No. Well, CML announced their 2 upcoming big shows. And it's the Christmas. They're actually having a lucha show on Christmas.
Cool.
And on January 1st. The Christmas show is headlined by a all-women's cage match with everyone's hair and mask on the line. The 10 women are La Jarochita, Sanelli, La Vaquerita, Princesa Suhei, Marcela, Estrellita, Zuxis, Dallas La Caribeña, Amapola, and Metallica.
Whoa.
Who do you think's gonna win?
Poor Metallica.
you're like Metallica. Okay, so we're back. What were we talking about? We're talking about how much you wanted to watch the women's cage match. Wasn't that what you were telling me?
Sure.
So you were picking Metallica to win?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really don't know who's gonna. I have a feeling. I have a feeling either Sanelli or Jarochita might end up being the ones that lose. Just because I don't know.
Just because you predicted it.
I don't know. Actually, this is really like I don't really know who's gonna lose because everybody assumes Zuxis might lose because there's some talk that she might leave to go to WWE. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You knew that? Wow. So, but there hasn't really been anything else that she's talked about that. So usually I try to like find out if anybody's like married or getting married or had like their kids got to finish school or something, and then you know more or less who needs money because the loser usually gets a payoff, a bigger payoff. So, but that's not. The rest of the card is pretty much your same average show, really. You think you're gonna want to watch this?
Sure.
Oh, well, interesting. And then the January 1st show is headlined by Maximo Sexy versus Máscara Año 2000 in a hair match. Who do you think's gonna win that?
Probably
Maximo Sexy?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think he's gonna win too, just because Máscara Año 2000 is older. But you never know with CML; they like to give wins to the older guys, you know. Sometimes. Yeah, and the rest of that show is also kind of about the same as. Actually, it's a little. You know, the one thing is those 2 shows have more talent. So, like the second match has a lot of good wrestlers on the show. But yeah, you know, they look interesting. They should be fun shows. Can't really complain. So they were announcing some stuff for Fantastica Mania. I guess they're going to be airing it on Samurai TV and New Japan World. So I'm just curious. Do you think you want to watch the Fantastica Mania shows?
Sounds pretty cool.
You know what time? But live. You want to watch them live as they happen?
Sure.
You know what time they start? Like at 1 a.m.
Well,
Never mind.
I mean, I've stayed up till 3 a.m.
Yeah, well, you'd have to stay up till 4 a.m. You want to watch them? Awesome. So we'll watch them together. and then we'll do a podcast afterwards. After every single episode,
I'll probably possibly bring a podcast.
Yeah, we'll do a podcast every. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. What else did you want to talk about? Did you watch Total Nonstop Deletion? I actually did watch that. I actually liked it. King Maxwell made his debut. Do you know who King Maxwell is?
Nope.
He's Matt Hardy's little son, baby boy. He's about like maybe 2 years old. He made his pro wrestling debut. The entire show was filmed in the Hardy's compound, which is Matt Hardy's house. In his backyard. He has a huge. I guess it's probably they both have like separate houses, but it's their whole their whole land and everything. In his backyard, he has like this. He made a warehouse with a wrestling ring and all this other stuff. So they set it up to be a wrestling show in there, and so they had King Mac. They had this. They filmed the entire show there. So they were going to have Apocalypto, a tag team Apocalypto. But before that, they made an announcement that they were going to have King Maxwell would be debuting in wrestling. So he came. So Rockstar Spud, who's this tiny wrestler. He's not maybe like 5'5", short guy. He wanted to be King Maxwell's first opponent. So then King Maxwell came out, riding his little car. He rode in. They did a lot of editing, film work. They made it look like they went from that to him standing in the ring, to him like kind of waving around and smiling, to Senor Benjamin, the gardener, tasered Rockstar Spud. Rockstar Spud fell, and King Maxwell got the pin. So King Maxwell is 1-0. He's undefeated in his pro wrestling career. So
he's only 1-1.
And he's only like maybe 2 years old. But it was funny. Then they had Apocalypto start up, which was basically tag teams. They invited tag teams from around all over the place. They had everybody was fighting all over the place. There was some fighting in front of the gate as they entered. I don't know most of the people because I don't watch TNA that much, so I don't know who they were. Yeah, so great. See, if one of us would have watched it, we would have been able to say who the people were. All I knew was like the Rock and Roll Express and the Hardys. My other niece Ashlyn is distracting us with bubbles
from the dish soap.
Dish soap bottle as we do this podcast. This is one of the. This would have been even crazier if Kurt was here.
I know.
We've done weirder podcasts with Kurt, so this is actually the least weirdest podcast we've done. You already burped a few times. So then the Hardys were fighting the Helms Dynasty, and they chased the Helms Dynasty. They were chasing the Helms Dynasty, who was on their truck, on a pickup truck, and as Shane Helms was driving, one of the other guys was in the passenger side, and the other one was in the back. And as they're driving, Matt Hardy pops up going like this. Like that, and so they start fighting on there. So then Jeff Hardy tells the referee, "Come on, we gotta chase them. We gotta continue the match." And the referee is like, "But Jeff, I don't have a helmet." And Jeff's like, "What are you, a baby? You don't need a helmet. Get on." So then they get on his motorcycle. And he said something like, "It's just he said it's just a certain brand of motorcycle. It's not that big a deal." So they get on the motorcycle, and you see the referee hugging Jeff Hardy on his way to chasing the truck. So they fight, and like as they're fighting in the street, on the side of the street, you hear a truck pass by, a big rig truck pass by, and like honk. And then they get to another part, and they're fighting in front of an antique store. So the Helms Dynasty is making fun of the Hardy Boys, saying like, "Hey, that's where all your merchandise is in. It's in because you guys are old. You're antiques."
Oh, Jesus! Yeah. It's like the ultimate roast.
Yeah. So then they continue to fight. So then they get to the part where they're near a lake, and there's Skarsgård is there. You know who Skarsgård is?
Nope.
Skarsgård is the dilapidated boat. So as Matt Hardy is getting pinned by one of the Helms Dynasty guys, the boat knocks him over, saves them. So then the Helms Dynasty decides to stomp on the boat because the boat got involved, and they hate the boat. So they start attacking the boat. So then the Hardys save Skarsgård, and Matt Hardy, or I think the Hardy Boys, end up shoving Shane Helms off the boat and he lands in the lake. The lake of it's called the lake of resuscitation or something like that.
Resuscitation?
Yeah, something like that. And he revives as Sugar Shane Helms of 3 Count. So he starts dancing on those little dots that they had, and they had but instead of, and it's the other 2 guys that came with him from the Helms dynasty. They're dancing with him. So then Shane Helms turns around and is like, "Hey, wait a minute, you're not Shannon and you're not Evan." And he's like, "You guys aren't as good as them." And they get upset, so they super kick him over the boat and into the lake again. And so he's gone for a while. They start fighting with Matt, with the Hardys again. I think Jeff ended up going somewhere else, and actually they split up, and Jeff's fighting one of the guys, and then Matt's fighting one of the other guys. And as Matt's fighting the other guy, Shane Helms returns, but this time he's Hurricane Helms.
Whoa.
And for some reason Bobby Lashley and some Eddie Edwards are fighting throughout this, but they're not really involved in the tag team Apocalypto. I guess you have to watch Impact to know more or less. And I actually missed some of this show because this was going on. And so Hurricane Helms ends up helping Matt Hardy pin the other guy. Therefore, they end up burying him and everything. And they make a joke about how the man with 3 H's would approve of them burying a young talent. Which I'm sure you thought you found that funny, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So then while this is going on, as I was saying, at the gate, there's these 2 guys fighting all these other people, just keep beating everybody up. And people keep showing up to be in the Apocalypto, the tag team Apocalypto. So then this Rockstar Spud is there's like, "You just wait, my tag team partner will be here." So this is still going on. So then the Hardy Boys are like, "We got to go to the ring and continue to wrestle." So they show up, and who's in the ring? The Express that rock and rolls, otherwise known as the Rock and Roll Express. So they get into a fight. And so Robert Gibson and Matt Hardy are fighting. So what happens? Jeff Hardy and Ricky Morton get on these 2 things. You know those things that they used to like fix the electrical cables and to like wash windows?
The street thing?
No. The things to go all the way up there.
Oh, the thing where you it's like mechanical.
Yeah, the mechanical thing where I don't know what they're called. Well, they get on those things, and you hear Jeff Hardy say, "Ricky Morton, it's Night of the Skywalkers." This is going back to the 1986 match between the Road Warriors and the Midnight Express.
It's pretty neat.
That's pretty neat. This is before your time. I'm sure but we'll watch it later.
Yeah.
We'll watch it later. Everything's on YouTube and stuff. So then, I like how Ashlyn's washing dishes as we're doing this.
No.
Thus ruining the audio quality of this podcast. So they fight, and so then instead of them continuing to fight, Matt Hardy ends up knocking down Robert Gibson, and Matt Hardy goes to the controllers, and he raises up Ricky Morton even higher on that thing. And so Ricky Morton starts yelling, "Hey, get me down, Matt Hardy, you crazy mother trucker," and all this stuff. And so he's like, and then Jeff Hardy slides through the bottom, and he does a swanton bomb off of that onto only Robert Gibson moves. So they do a slow-mo of that. It was really good. So then, but they end up, I think the Hardys end up winning. They leave Ricky Morton there the whole time up there. And Ricky Morton keeps yelling, "Get me down, get me down." And then Matt Hardy's like, "Ricky Morton, you have been deleted." So they turn off all the lights and they leave. And Ricky Morton's like, "Hello? Can anybody get me down?"
Get down.
Oh, wait. Then Road Warrior Animal shows up. And he's like, "Ricky Morton, what are you doing up there?" And he's like, "Oh, those crazy Hardy Boys got me up there." He's like, you dummy, why would you agree to this?" And he just laughs at him. And so that ends. We don't really know what happens to Ricky Morton. I guess Road Warrior Animal got him down. Mm-hmm. We get back to the front where the gate is. This lady tries to kidnap King Maxwell. She goes to the house and tries to kidnap King Maxwell. Yeah. Only Matt Hardy shows up. It's broken Matt Hardy. Mm-hmm. So she lets King Maxwell down, and then she throws mist into Matt Hardy's face. Only Matt Hardy catches the mist in his mouth and then spits it back at her. So that she gets blinded. Oh, that was a good part. But no one can find where King Maxwell is. He disappeared at this point. So while this is going on in the front, back to the gate, Rockstar Spud, finally, those two guys are just beating up everybody. James Storm shows up with like a bunch of dudes. I guess they're called the DCC. And this one dude was like, I'm in the DCC. I'll take care of these guys. And he gets like beaten up by those two guys. And so James Storm leaves. And so then Rockstar Spud's the last guy left. And finally, he promises the biggest guy is going to show up and side with him. And so they have these huge lights turn on. And you see the shadow of this man who's coming in. And it's Hornswoggle as Swoggle.
Whoa, that's pretty neat.
He's a little midget. Since I know you don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
He's short. He's a little midget.
I know what a
And so he walks in and just stares them down, and they just walk by those two guys, and those two guys are just confused at what happened. I don't really remember. I think they fought afterwards again. Yeah, because everybody goes to the back and they all fight, and then Swoggle turns on Rockstar Spud. Everything's going on, and it ends up with the Hardy Boys, and those guys end up fighting the Hardy Boys outside, and Jeff Hardy earlier had cut in his lawn. He made a symbol, and then that symbol got lit on fire when there was like and then there's like a volcano. There's a volcano in the backyard for some reason, and the volcano, I think it's got a name also. So the volcano erupts, and it's all like all the fire's on, and they all fight in the fire and stuff like that. Bobby Lashley destroys Swoggle. Actually, Swoggle like speared Bobby Lashley, but he just fell, and Bobby Lashley was just continuing wrestling the other guy. I don't even know what happened there.
It's
Very
confusing. Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion there. And so Apocalypto's going on. There's everybody's fighting all over the place. These two guys are fighting there, and then finally they end up beating those guys. And the Hardys, it's Matt, Jeff, King Maxwell, Rebby, Senor Benjamin. They're all standing on top of the volcano, and they're all celebrating as fireworks are flying out. And Rebby tells Matt Hardy, because Matt Hardy's like, us six are the victorious. Vanguard 1. I didn't even tell you about Vanguard 1. He was in this. You know who Vanguard 1 is?
I don't know.
He's a drone. He's
like
he's an actual drone, yes. And he was involved in this too. He actually threw fireworks at the wrestlers and everything. There were fireworks in this. I probably should have mentioned there were a lot of fireworks throughout this match. So Matt Hardy's like, us six, we've won, and Rebby's like, you mean 7? And he's like, and Matt Hardy's like, what? And she's like, I'm pregnant. And he's like, wonderful. And that's the end of Total Nonstop Deletion.
That's pretty neat.
One of the best episodes of TNA ever. It's a lot better than actual TNA shows. So, yeah, it was a good show. Overall, good shows. I guess I'll watch CMLL later tonight. Maybe. It's not that great a show. What are you gonna do? What are you planning on watching this week?
I'm gonna go watch Rogue One.
Rogue One?
Yeah.
You watched Doctor Strange. What'd you think of Doctor Strange?
It was kind of boring.
It's kind of boring?
Yeah.
You didn't like the first
The
part?
funny part was when the cape started going crazy.
When who started going crazy?
Remember the cape? It was like magic.
Oh yeah. And that part
It like started suffocating on one guy. That's the only part.
Yeah, we shouldn't give too many.
And then when it kept repeating.
Yeah, but we probably shouldn't.
Mama.
We probably shouldn't say more because people
Yeah.
we don't want to spoil it.
Yeah. And then people are gonna be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, and they'll ask me never to have you on the show again. So we had fun.
Yeah.
So you're gonna watch some lucha next time if you have to do another guest appearance
Sure.
as a fill-in for Kurt.
Yeah.
You think you will? You'll watch one show, one match. You're like, you'll watch one match, not a whole show. One match.
One match.
And what would it be? A women's match or a minis match?
A women's match because they're freaking dramatic.
Or a violent death match like the ones that I was telling you about?
Death match.
Or do you want to watch King Maxwell continue his career? Can he go undefeated?
I don't know. Some hiccups.
You got hiccups? Well, we had a good time.
Yeah.
Next show, I guess I'll be doing. Maybe Kurt will be here. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe I'll be back.
Maybe you'll be back.
Who knows?
Stay tuned, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Gotta wait.
Uh-huh.
Gotta wait.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.